It is very valuable for you to constantly interweave with the rest of your work for inner advancement, to take a particular word and think about it. And the word I want you to take now, as we're discussing here, is the word values. You hear phrases which has it in, oh, he doesn't have very high values, or your values need enriching. Now go all around the word itself so that you can use the word itself properly instead of letting it mislead you into thinking that words or thoughts are a reality. So understand, first of all, that any word is a word and has only the value to it that you, through your conditioning and your desire, give to it. Now take the word values as connected with another word. We're leading up to something which you will see. Take the word miracle. What values does the word miracle have to you? I will tell you that the word miracle has delusory values to you. You make an announcement of any kind in the paper, on TV, that someone's going to perform some kind of a miracle of healing, for example, and everyone pays attention. A miracle. Something that we'd never seen before, something that's unusual. Human beings, as they are, always take the word miracle and give it false value. What they mean when they say they want a miracle is that they want sensationalism. They want something exciting. In short, their idea of value in a miracle is entertainment. And nothing more. Just use the word miracle anywhere, any place, any time in this sick human society, and that is a good start for deceiving people. It's a good way to hurt people. And ordinary religion makes the most of miracles, quoting things that happened 2,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, or even 1,000 years ago in the case of so-called saints who were able to fly through the air or go without food for 50 years or whatever. Ordinary religion is very vicious and cruel in exploiting a word, the word miracle. And everybody falls for it. The miracle of going to a certain place in France and going to the healing waters, so-called healing waters, getting cured of whatever is the matter with you physically. So let us learn right here now to use a word rightly. You can use a word right. You can use a word wrong. Just you can use electricity for right or wrong. And I want to introduce you right now to proper thinking, proper reacting, proper use of the word miracle. Now, the miracle that we're going to talk about is one that you have not yet experienced. And you may never experience it unless you're willing to go a lot farther than you have gone so far in your life, your sojourn here on earth. The miracle that we are now talking about has nothing to do with sensationalism, with publicity. You don't ever see it in headlines. You only faintly read about it in books and in true books. And I'm talking simply about the miracle of you disappearing and then reappearing. And you should understand, if you've been paying attention in past talks, that the person who disappears is obviously not the same person who appears. The appearance of the old nature, if that happens, then if the old nature reappears again, which it often does under the guise of changing yourself, the alcoholic who is now a braggart, for example, then that is not considered, it is not change. It is simply a self-deception. Now, we're going to talk, therefore, about a method, a miracle method. See, I know I said that, and I know why I said that, because I'm watching myself as I'm talking to you. And I know that I, in talking to you right now, use the word properly, consciously, for a truly practical purpose. Now we have that foundation, a miracle method for causing the disappearance of all that is heavy, strange, neurotically suspicious, sneering, and so on. So that with the appearance of all that, space is left, the impulse is left, comes, for the appearance of something that now is indescribable to you, because you have not, as I said a couple minutes ago, you have not experienced it. You do not know as yet the miracle of a new life, of a really new start. And by the way, isn't there a part in you that would like right now, at this very minute, to start everything all over? To be fresh again? To be youthful again? I don't care what your age is here now. I am telling you, you can start to be youthful. And you don't define it. Listen to it. You can be youthful. You can be young, because you're not thinking about what I'm talking about, but you're experiencing it, if indeed you do. So, wouldn't you like to make a fresh start? By the way, it will have a very healthy effect upon your social life, your physical life, every department of your life, financial life. That's why in our latest flyer on 100 Ways to Defeat Satan, we put something in there that we haven't ever put before: save money. How many of you save money by coming here? You know you have. And that can only increase. How many of you are stupid financially? Okay. I'm glad we put that on the flyer to save money. A fresh nature, a new nature, automatically, spontaneously guarantees a newness in everything else in your life, outward or inward. If your relationship to yourself changes, then your relationship to what's out there changes. And in a way, you'll know what it means, really know what it means, to be a stranger to this world. You're a stranger because you so completely understand it. You're not involved in it. Here you are, your physical body walking around out the supermarket, at the office, right at the home with a family, but you're so fresh all the time, you're not involved at all. To not be involved means to be free of it invisibly, internally. If you ever reach this state, which you can work hard and reach, no one will know that this is your inner condition. No one but you. And if you happen to meet one other person of the 4 billion people on earth who knows it, you would know, and he would know that you know, because he knows it himself. But don't expect to meet him. It's hard enough for you to do it yourself. To find yourself, huh? Miracle method is as follows. Now, before we go into it, we have a little preliminary work to do, which I will now illustrate for you. See, the hands are now relaxed. No hurry. I think I'll change the position a little bit. Just slow down. Did you break a pattern a little bit? How many of you were running when you came in here? You were running. When you're running, you don't know it. So you say, I wasn't running. In fact, I was seated down there sipping coffee I wasn't running. You should have seen the expression on your face sipping that coffee. You didn't know the coffee was there, and you didn't know you were there. Where were you running? Around the house, around your yard, fixing the tree, running somewhere, something that took you over. All right, now we've slowed down a little bit at least, and you can practice that all the time that you like, both here and outside. Here it is, the miracle method. Because it's so very simple, don't think that it's not profound. It is so profound, your complex mind won't be able to grasp it beyond the words for now. Later on, a feeling will be added to the thought about it. And when feeling joins thought, a third thing is created beautifully called understanding with a capital U. You are now a spiritual sentry. Now, what's the occupation of a sentry in the army? Stand guard, huh? All the rest of the camp is asleep at night, but the sentries are posted all around. There's one particular sentry who has his rifle and his helmet on, and he's out at the edge of the camp making sure that the enemy doesn't sneak up during the night. So that sentry is wide awake. And he's checked on, by the way, by the officer of the guard every once in a while to make sure he stays awake. Gives him a little jolt. Now, your internal sentry, S-E-N-T-R-Y, must be alert all the time to catch the following. All day and night long, this sentry must be able to see, just as a soldier sentry sees an enemy creeping up, your internal invisible spiritual sentry must be very alert to ask the following question. The question is that pain? Let's go back to our illustration sentry. He's looking all around, over in the hills there, and he says, is that the enemy? What's that form, that shadow moving up here? I'd better be alert and challenge him if he gets too close. See if he has the password, secret code. You are to ask yourself all day long, as often as possible, as alertly as possible, the one question, is that pain? See, so much gets put over on you that you don't see that little bit of irritation that happened this morning downstairs when you were doing some work for New Life Foundation. You did not know that you were irritated over being interrupted in what you were doing. You didn't know that you had a sudden dislike in you because someone you don't care much for came and sat next to you and started working on your ear by blabbing. On and on. Memory, for example, may not be a physical thing. You could be sipping your coffee down there, and memory comes up of some unpleasant, some situation, some crisis with a person, with anything, a financial loss, anything. Now listen to me. You're to catch every sneaky, subtle enemy thought that comes out of the hills toward your camp, and your first question is that pain? Very short sentence. You don't have to work very hard to remember that, do you? Is that pain? Already, by asking that question, you have put yourself in the challenging position that a sentry must always do to expose something that has never been exposed before. I tell you, and this is no exaggeration what I'm going to tell you, because your spiritual sentry is asleep, sitting on that log out there, the rifle in his arm, and your head is dozing like that. I guarantee you, I tell you, and I hope you're shocked by it, that hundreds of enemy agents come in from those hills out there and creep past you, who had a responsibility to stay awake and protect the camp being your whole life. That's what it represents. They have snuck by you. Look, I'll just say, since 6 o'clock this morning, and it's now about 9:15, and that 3¼ hours, do you know how much damage has been done to your camp? Because you fell asleep and you didn't challenge. Now you can't challenge unless you are awake, unless you're watching. You can look at the wall, you can look at a person, you can look at a book, you can look at other things, and still the sentry could still be awake. I'm telling you, you can do it. You can look around. You can have internal attention. What was my reaction to what I overheard that person say? Was it disappointment? Was it hurt? Was it fear? Whatever. What was your reaction? See, now that's the sentry challenge again. Now, question. Is that pain a little? You felt something, you don't know what it is. Some kind of, is that pain? Following the question, because you're still awake to this whole miracle method, you will find yourself with an astonishing, alert honesty about the situation that you just experienced. And you will answer as follows. Yes, that was pain. Question. Is that pain? You're looking, the enemy's coming down from the outer hills out there. And you're looking. If you keep looking, he won't be able to make it to your camp before you expose him. Once he sees that you see him, he has to turn and go back. He can't keep coming. It's only because you're asleep that he can keep coming. One of the miracles of this simple method is that you will be astonished. You won't believe how often you will simply reply, yes, that is pain. Now, let's get some examples of what I mean by pain, because you think it means falling down or hurting yourself physically or something like that. Isn't a disappointment a pain? Isn't a fear of losing something a pain? Isn't your confusion a very severe pain? Isn't the thought that you have to fight and win a dreadful sorrow to you? Try that one again. Isn't the feeling and thought that you have to fight? If you don't fight, you've got to win. And if you don't fight, you won't win, you'll lose. Doesn't that make your spirit heavy? Doesn't it terrify you, and doesn't it tire you out? You know it does. Let's go back at the beginning again. The sentry says, is that pain? Question. You don't know. You don't know how vague an emotion is at the start? And you notice that you're not quite sure how you should react to a certain challenge, that certain thing that comes out from the hills, come out somehow. You don't know how to handle it, but your very questioning is very good. That's your preliminary. Is that pain? You will find the answer is yes. Now, for the third part. You don't know this factually, spiritually. You can't see with the light yet. But I will tell you what the third one is. Your third statement and feeling. That pain is unnecessary. Is that pain? Yes, that's pain. That pain is unnecessary. Look what you have been doing just since 6 o'clock, to say nothing of your whole life. How old are you? 30, 40, 50? Look what you have been doing all your life. You have been wasting it because you didn't know any better and because you never questioned it. I am giving you a miracle method for beginning to question every experience that you have and letting God Himself show you what to do. You see, you're doing what's right. Cooperation with God, with truth, reality, is what puts you on the path to going through these 3 stages till you finally end up. See, and you say, in the third part, you say, that pain is unnecessary. Now that, whether you know it as yet, personally and experimentally, that is a fact. There is no need to suffer any kind of psychological pain whatever. If you fall down and bump your knee, that knee may hurt. That's a physical pain, and that is the way nature operates on the physical body, to tell you don't go around bumping your knee. It's bad for you. So it gives you a pain physically to tell you you mustn't be so careless as to fall down and bump your knee. There is no need. Oh, watch how much this is for your system to grasp. There is no need, anytime, any place, anyhow, for any human being on earth to suffer mental, emotional, inner pain, whatever. Shall I tell you what one of the enemy agents is that sneaks by you because you're asleep? It's called Glorification of Sorrow. This is so overwhelming. The world doesn't see it and doesn't want it. The world worships agony. The world worships pain and sorrow because that is the nature of the individual doing the worshiping. In other words, self-worship. Can you understand, therefore, that if you are nervous, distressed, frantic, in any negative state like that at all, that you are doing nothing but worshiping yourself? There are millions and millions and millions of religious people on earth who spend their lives worshiping themselves, saying they're worshiping God. Anytime, effective as of now, and it could have been effective years ago, anytime, starting right now, you see a human being who has a pained manner, whose eyes are shifting around and they get a little wet, or he cries or she cries. Whenever you see a man who blows up, you're looking at a self-worshiper. Do you want anything to do with him? And he represents everyone on earth, and you know it. Now, If you are an unseen self-worshipper, guess what? That other man with his pain and his hard luck stories, that woman in the days who's mad really, if there's something wrong with you, you will want to associate with her. Ever hear the phrase, we assemble with those we resemble? Let's bring it down to earth. Nutty people like to be with nutty people. You get healthy. If you really get spiritually healthy through the use of this exercise, for example, you never ask yourself, well, should I continue that association with that man, or that woman, with that relative? Should I continue the association or should I drop it? That means you're still like him. You don't know. What you're doing is adding them, subtracting the values. I'm getting certain things from him or her. On the other hand, he or she caused me a lot of difficulty. I don't know. I'm right. 50% is a terrible position to be in, isn't it? Let me tell you, the whole numerals from 1 to 100 vanishes. So there's no 10% to 90% or 40% to 60%. Oh, the whole number game vanishes when you're in the light, when you've asked those 3 questions and those 3 statements long enough, so that all you have to know is that you're awake. And when you see instead of think, there's no question of whether that person should be in your life or not. You don't have to ask, would it be a good thing for me if I keep him or her, or would it be a bad? No, you don't have to think at all. That's your trouble. You get in trouble because you think, right? You think in yes and no. You think in good or bad. You go to the end of this question, would you see that no pay? Look, here's the question you ask: should I spend that money, or shouldn't I spend that money? And there's a degree, maybe 40, 60, 70, 30, whatever. You go back. Should I discontinue that relationship, or should I keep it? Should I go on that trip, the pleasure cruise? Some pleasure, huh? Everybody out to get everyone else on the boat. That's all it is. When you are no longer in the numbers game, it is because you have understood the third part of this series perfectly. You don't have to be in conflict and agony of asking, is that good or bad for me? Because you have disappeared as the striver, as the seeker, as the desperate person. That has vanished and something else has emerged. Something that you're conscious of, that you see, that is very clear to you, very clear, that is perfectly clear to you. So the question of advantage or disadvantage vanishes. And also, marvelously, you know that you don't have to be in the pain of asking anymore for the rest of your life, which course is best for me. There's no questioning, no dividing. You're on this straight path that never has crossroads going off from it. The highway goes down and forms the letter Y, goes down, and you come to the middle. Which way? Should I get rid of that man? Should I keep you go through it every day. Small ways and large ways. There's no division at all, because you no longer go after assumed, delusory, false advantages and values. Now you're looking at the word value in the real way. You know what's valuable for you. What's valuable for you is something that doesn't build you, but gets rid of what you call you. Remember the labeling? Let me tell you another miracle to it. You can go a lot faster than you're going. If you'll just stay awake, it will be done for you. You could come to a meeting, starting you come early to do work downstairs there. By the time you leave here at 10:30 or whatever, you'll have 10 lessons. Now you hardly get one. And there will be 10 major ones. I'm not exaggerating. I know how much stronger you can be when you walk out of that door. I know. You can hardly wait to get out into that world to use what you've learned here. You remember that you have to go down at work. You've been here at a meeting and you have to go down at work and you had a quarrel, with the boss or that lady who works down. There's that little feeling you're afraid to look at each other, right? You've been at it? Of course you have. Wherever you go, afraid to look at. Let me tell you. You can walk out of here and walk down to that office and know that that woman or man is there, and you will be a free man, a free woman, no pain at all, because you've understood that all pain is necessary and serves no real purpose at all. You know it. Therefore you don't go into it. You thought it served you. I better be defensive. I better watch my words. See, you're thinking when you stop thinking and start living. You know what your thinking has done for you, don't you? All you do is change your words in the dictionary. Instead of being offensive, maybe I was too bold in being clever and trying to hurt that other person. Therefore, I better withdraw and just pretend that I'm sorry and be nice. Oh, you poor pathetic human being. You've been doing it all your life. When are you going to stop? Something will help you to stop. And you don't know what that is, but you can start where you should start by keeping the Sentry alert. And it will increase in the ability to look around at all times, watching what's going on inside of you until finally you really will see for yourself that pain serves no purpose. You don't need to have it. You don't need pain to survive. You see, a lost person thinks that to suffer gives him existence. You think it gives you something to do, to cry. No, don't expect anyone to want this, outside in the world there. Don't waste energy on expecting anyone else to want it, but put your energy into you wanting it more and more and more. All right? You just won't get it through your heads that you don't know what you're doing with your life. You were so stubborn, so vain, so ignorant, so obstinate, so foolish, that you hide from yourself the fundamental fact that you are lying about your state of understanding. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, the way you talk, the way you intermix with other people, the way you think, that is your idea of what is right for you. Now, how can you do that? How can you be so utterly thick-headed? And are you even following me, what I'm saying so far? Let's start all over, because you're not. I know you're not. You're not capable of it. You lived in anxiety today, did you not? Huh? You lived in petty thoughts, didn't you? Repetitious, going back to the same old places, same old boring existence, didn't you? You were scared. You were attacked today, weren't you? Weren't you attacked today? You know you were. Don't lie to me. I know you were. All day long, something came and put you under fear, didn't it? Say yes. Nod your head. What on earth is wrong with you? That you have the nerve to live that way and say that that is the intelligent, right way for you. You are saying, if you can be shocked at this, and pray that you might, you are saying that your miserable, wretched life that you now live, that is good for you. That you know that is good for you. You don't know that you say that, however. Therefore, what I've been telling you for the first few minutes has not penetrated because you are unconscious human beings. In your stubbornness, in your vanity, in your conceit, you say, and I can see it on your faces, your manner, you say, I know what's right. Don't you tell me any different. Don't you try to correct me. I know what's right. You are saying that at the same time, not seeing the incredible claim that what is right for you is to destroy yourself. Do you know what deliverance consists of? Deliverance from you. What else do you need to be free of from your miserable little mind? That's all you need. Do you know what it is? It's you begin to understand what I've said in the first 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to go over it once more time. You are wretched. You lie about everything. You lie. Don't even know you're lying. And yet, there's something in you that says, I already know. And listen to the next lie. You say, well, I come to these classes. I try to think right. I try to absorb lessons. Therefore, I am trying, am I not? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're here physically. You come in this door one way, you're here for an hour and a half or so, and you go out the same way you were when you came in. Nothing has changed. Evidence? The best evidence that you are living in horrible self-division that you don't see is the fact that you're in great pain and fear. And the perfect evidence that you consist of nothing but stupidity. I said you consist of nothing but stupidity is the fact that you fight the truth that could save you, and you don't know you're doing it, and you don't want to know. Let's find out what kind of a God you have. Truth. What kind of a truth do you have? And again, you lie. See, it is a fact that if you weren't a liar, weren't destructive, self-destructive, that if you weren't that way, if you were that way and wanted to change, you could change. Because there is the possibility for you not repeating your behavior over in the future years if you've done in the past. There's a possibility to that. Therefore, since there is an opportunity for you to not be you any longer, but you don't take that opportunity, right in front of you is the perfect evidence that you listen to this phrase, and I hope I drive you out of here if you don't want it. Get out and don't come back. You don't belong here. Some of you don't belong here anyway. Someday I'm going to get you out of here. You don't know how I'll get you out of here. You worship your sickness. you worship what you live with every day. Right? Isn't what you live with what you want? I said anxieties, fear of attacks, fear of the future. This is what you want because this is what you retain. Now, if you wanted something different, you could have it, because you don't. You worship what you are, and you worship a pile of junk. The word self-awareness, hyphenated word self-awareness, hyphenated word self-seeing, self-insight, is a key word in you taking advantage of the fact that God exists. How can any of you sit there month after month, year after year, with those hard faces of yours, with those lies of yours? How can you sit there year after year without listening to me when I tell you, you must become aware of yourself? That means you to catch yourself in that act of being angry, of hating someone, of lying, and say, well, look, I just told a lie. You have never done that. You don't have the daring to do it. You don't have the goodness. You don't have the decency. Which means you don't have the desire to change at all, but you want to remain what you are. And that is what you worship. That is what you love. And guess what? That's what you're going to keep. Example, right? So you don't think we're talking way up in the air up there. We're talking right down on this earth. You know those fights you have with people? Who? Spouse, friends, acquaintances, arguing with salespeople. And if you're not doing it outwardly, you're doing it inwardly. Is this what you are going to settle for? You've done it up till now. You've done it up till tonight. We have something in this room that can break through that thick wall of cement that you have surrounded yourself with for fear someone's going to take away your precious happiness. You don't have any happiness. All you have is sickness. How can sickness be happiness? But it's what you call you, and so you protect it. We have something in this room. It's called the Spirit of Truth. It can break that down if you want it. Now, I want to repeat the original point, then go on to something else. How can you stand to live with yourself? How can you stand to live with a liar, which is all you are? I don't care what you do with this. If you refuse it, you'll remain a liar. And I'll tell you, the terror that you have now is nothing compared to the terror you're going to have 5 years from now, 5 months from now, unless you listen to what I'm talking about. One of the most horrible experiences a man or woman can have is to come into this room, and I'm talking about this room here, nowhere else, is to come into this room and determine to continue to be a liar, to not let God break through to your thick head. Okay? Right? If you want to go out of here without having trying to receive what you've heard here, right? You can go out, and I'm going to tell you, idiot, something. I don't care if you have a wife or a husband and 1,000 friends, 10,000 friends, and $1 million. and 20 vacations planned for the future, a liar cannot escape the horrible lashing punishment of his own lying nature. Nothing can be done by you to get rid of the agony except surrender to the compassionate truth that has been speaking to you now for 12 minutes. I want to tell you now where you've made a mistake. I want you to listen very carefully, like if you listen to a lecture on making money or how to build a house. You listen with 5,000 times the intensity and interest, starting now. Unknown to you, you have settled for a certain way of going through each day and night. This way that you have chosen for yourself, thinking that it's right when it is all wrong, thinking that it's going to keep you safe when it only keeps you jittery and nervous and snappy and irritable, right? Irritable? How many of you were irritable today? You all were. Your whole life is one grand irritation, ungrand irritation. This way that you have chosen is a false course through your day called self-excitement. Now, I want you to know that all you have is self-excitement. You don't have anything but that yet. We're trying to get you to where you have something higher than that. Let's look at the phrase itself and see what it means. Self-excitement means that you spend your day meeting various kinds of exciting, thrilling, having little experiences. And they can be either what you call negative or positive. You can have a big delightful thing, some little thing happen to you, someone says something nice about you, or something bad can happen to you. The prices go up on something you're going to buy, no matter what it is. And 99% is internal, going on all the time. You keep yourself in a state of self-excitement. Your anger, your thoughts of revenge that you have frequently because you're that sick, all these give you an emotional excitement. Keep you, that way, you're this way all the time, aren't you? You have that all the time. You think that is life. It is not life at all. But you call it that, and that's your mistake, because you don't know how to get anything higher than that. Now let's see what is higher than that, so we can kind of go back and forth, and you can follow it as we go along. Besides self-excitement, there's spiritual excitement. Self-excitement is hysteria. All day long you're hysterical, mad mind jumping around. You don't even see it. If you don't see your mad mind, you'll never believe a word of what I'm talking about. And you could even say, what a nice talk. And even that was a part of your hysteria, because you know that there's something about it that your old nature didn't want, so you thought you'd complement the talk in order to keep yourself, quote, a nice person who appreciates good things. The way you live is what you are. If you think monstrous thoughts, you are a monster. Thank heaven, God gave us separate physical bodies so that we who want to get away from monsters, having seen certain things in ourselves first, those of us who don't want to associate with sickies don't have to. And I can spot you 10 miles off, and I'll watch you for a long time. Spiritual excitement will come to you when you have understood all we've talked about so far, and when you no longer, thank heaven, you can no longer settle for self-excitement. That's the same thing as saying you can no longer settle for the thrill of being neurotic, of laughing at other people. I mean, how many of you laughed at people that you did one way or another? Felt superior to them. Which means that you felt inferior which means that you live in the opposites of superiority and inferiority, which means you're a lost soul. Spiritual excitement comes of itself. And listen to this. Maybe this will give you a proper jolt. Spiritual excitement, I said self-excitement is hypocrisy and hysteria. You're hysterical people, all of you, hysterical human beings. You can't think clearly, you can't think logically. The simplest decision that came up today, you had 50 thoughts on what to do with it, didn't you? Nod your heads. You don't have any intelligence, and you never will unless you listen to me. Spiritual excitement is pure pleasure. Now, what is a pleasure? Not a new version of self-excitement, but a pleasure that is there because self-excitement is not. Do you understand that? Do you understand that to be a truly whole, healthy human being, all you have to do is not be you anymore? All you have to do. You know, as I'm going to interrupt myself a little bit. I can see you, I can feel you, I know you are fighting for all you're worth. What you're hearing. You want to stay you. How can you be that stupid? There is no value in you being you. You tell me what it is. You'll never be able to do it. Go ahead, in your own mind. Tell me what value there is in you being you. In order to find something, you'll have to do what you always do, which is to lie. By the way, isn't that kind of interesting to see, to be told that your whole life is nothing but a lie? Where you go is a lie. You go certain places thinking you're going to find happiness there. Isn't that a lie? The way you think, living in dream thoughts all the time. Thinking thoughts in which you are indeed going to go somewhere and get something. Isn't that a lie? I better explain very briefly another point. There is no you to go anywhere, to do anything, to acquire anything, to get rid of anything, to say anything, to hear anything. If you understood that, you would nod internally to every point I make from now on in the talk. See, with self-excitement, every time you get one of these self-excitements, you reinforce the delusion, the lie, that you are you. You're not you. You think you are because you think thoughts, and you say those thoughts are me, therefore that is what I am. For example, boy, I'll tell you, you say to yourself, life has really been rough with me. All the other graduates I went to the high school reunion 20 years after we graduated, worried that they were going to be more successful than me, and they were. They always are, aren't they? If you had $1 billion, you'd find someone there who you'd hate because he looked happier than you were. Why do you hang on to what has made you? I'm going to emphasize this word right now. Why do you cling to what has made you a very hard, hysterical person? I'll give you a test. Please don't do it, actually do this. But I'll give this as a possibility. Sometime you walk up to me, I'm talking about me personally now, you walk up to me and have an intelligent conversation with me. It will be absolutely impossible for you to do it. You know why? Because you're a liar. Because you know very well that I see through you. Why don't you cling to that? That I see through you and truth sees through you. Why don't you cling to that? As if everything in this life depends on it, and it does. If you had wanted the answer, you would have found it long before tonight. I said, if you had wanted it. You don't want it. You want you. You want what has betrayed you. Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't know that you are a sucker? Well, that's what you are. Every one of you. You've been betrayed and you don't even know it. In your vanity and your refusal to listen to something higher than your repetitious mentality, in your refusal to listen to that, you are betrayed every minute. Ever been betrayed? Hurt, didn't it? That is exactly why you hurt tonight. You hurt right now. I know it. You hurt, and you do, and you do, and you do. Of course you do. Oh, I'll tell you, I sure wouldn't spend one more minute of my life in the hospital, in the mental hospital, which is what you are doing. See, when you're in the hospital, you can lean back and dream that you're the beautiful princess or the millionaire tycoon. Loon. and you can dream your life away. This class will wake you up. Oh, not all of you. You're too far gone. I have nothing to say to you. I have nothing to say to you if you're too far gone. I better tell you who I'm talking to. Perhaps there's something right in a lady over there, a man over there. That's the only thing I'm talking. Do you think I waste my time talking to devils who want to stay devils? The light looks down on this earth and it sees all those millions of human beings running around, playing little games of building empires and assassinating each other. You know, in one of the books I said they ought to put a big wall around the whole world, because that's the walls of the lunatic asylum, right? How about you? Didn't I tell you that you also have a wall and you live in a lunatic asylum? Of course you do. You didn't have any fun today, did you? You had self-excitement, didn't you? You don't know the difference in the two because you've settled for self-excitement. You've settled for self-worship. Have you ever noticed how worried you are that other people will see through your fakery? You ever noticed that? Why do you suppose you feel that way? Because there is also something in you that senses the degeneracy of your nature. And that is what you worship. Let me speak personal again. I'm not going to stay with you people. None of you or anyone else out there. But I want to give you an invitation. I want to invite certain ones of you here, and the right parts of certain ones of you here, I want to give you a very warm, very cordial, a very enthusiastic invitation to come along with me. I'm going, whether without you or with you, I'm going. Want to come? I've invited you before. I give you the invitation again. Don't you kid yourself, which you always do. You slip one time, and I'm going to disappear out of sight in front of you. I'm not going to wait for you. I'm not going to coddle. I'm not going to tell you how nice you are. I'm going to tell you I'm going to run hard uphill. It's not easy running hard uphill, is it? Anyone can run downhill, which is what that mad society is doing, all running down to the same swamp. See, running uphill, you huff and puff a lot, don't you? I'll give you another aspect of the invitation. If you will keep me in sight by working real hard, you can follow me all the way. But I want to repeat something else, because you're so gone. You're so unintelligent. If you think you can follow your present nature and follow the truth, forget it. You can make up your mind which you want, but if you want you, I will know it, and goodbye to you. See, where you have a room full of liars, the cure has to be pretty severe. It has to be persistent. Now, the only cure for your self-annihilating, unseen, unconscious lying, the only cure for that is to tell you the truth about your falsehood. Then, everything, absolutely everything, your eternity depends upon what you do with the talk tonight, for example. When I tell you that you're nothing but a mess and you're cruel, first to yourself, look what you do to your body. Everything depends upon what you do with what you've heard. I'll go further. Let's see how this hits you. Unless you, unless you are a personal friend of me, and I'm talking about Vernon, unless you are a personal friend of Vernon, you're going to fall off the road into the swamp. I know that. Do you know why that's true? Sure you do. Everyone in here in the room knows exactly what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is this. I've been talking a half hour now. Everything that you have heard, you sense is right. Including the fact that if you are not a personal friend of mine, you're not going to make it. You can lie, which you do. You can lie, you can sneer, and you can laugh. You are not going to make it. Because I am representing truth in this room. And you just try, as I said a little bit earlier, you just try to deviate one little bit off the path instead of following fully and very fast. You deviate off the path just a little bit, and you're not going to make it. See, I know what is required of you and you in order for you to not suffer from yourself anymore. And if you don't know the truth, then you do suffer. You're afraid of this world, afraid of what's going to happen to you after this life, for example. You have one chance, therefore, which is to take the truth that you are now hearing right now, for example, right now, and let that slam into that wall of falsehoods which has imprisoned you. And then you come back the next meeting and let it slam in again, let it slam again, let it slam again, over the weeks and over the months. The only force that loves you, that is capable of loving you, that can ever love you, the only force is the pure truth, and the pure truth that you now, unknown to yourself, are doing your best to push away in favor of your personal lies. Hard work? Of course it's hard work. Want to make it easy? Want to make life easy? Then you have to do the hard work to come to the point where life is easy, which occurs when you aren't what you presently are here tonight. You can engage in self-conversations all day long, telling yourself that you're right. You can do that if you want. And I wouldn't trade places with you for the whole universe in exchange. Because I know, and you sense, you have to go higher than that. You sense what is truly valuable. And what is truly valuable is something that you will obtain with a sacrifice. And that is the sacrifice of your fear of non-existence. You don't exist now. What do you mean? You call that your physical body? You call it your life? How long are you going to have it? How long are you going to have those hands? How long are you going to have it? Dumb people, you don't have an ounce of logic. You don't have even the beginning of logic, of spiritual logic, or even on this level. The world is mad on every level. Now you listen to me. There exists a life with a capital L of which your present mind knows nothing about. All you know is your lie life, which in your insanity, which you don't see, you cherish. I am telling you that if you will put yourself under the guidance of this class and of Vernon Howard, if you will do that, you can be different. And I'll drag you through it. I'll scream at you. Aren't you sick? Aren't you sick of phony smiles? Not only from those hypocrites that you hang around with, but from those phony smiles inside yourself, which are nothing but self-excitement. Just now, you live under the largely unseen pressure of feeling that everything is against you. You feel that you're outnumbered, don't you? That the foes are far greater than the friends. You feel like a helpless individual caught in the middle of a brawling mob out to get you. Now, it is true, absolutely a fact, that the brawling mob of those people out there are out to get you. They can't do anything but that. That is their nature. Sickness must attack. Neurosis must try to create other neurotic human beings. Sickness, you listen to this, sickness is always desperate, and that is a sick world, therefore it's always desperate to try to find an answer. And it never does, just as you presently have never found the answers to life. Now, may never have given this introductory few words, may never have given that conscious consideration, and I want you to do it now. You have felt it, you have suffered from it, you have crouched from it, you have panicked from it, but I want you now to simply know that you feel that you're outnumbered, that everyone is against you. Inside things are against you, your own thoughts. Don't your own thoughts torment you? How many had tormenting thoughts all the time? Aren't they tormenting? Remember the talk last night? We talked about self-excitement. If you're super sick, you will take tormenting thoughts as healthy thoughts instead of self-sick ones, self-tormenting ones. You have to see what you are doing. So right now, as I'm talking, why don't we relax while we do it? You just struck a blow, to use a martial, is that the word? Military. You've just struck a military blow against the general called Satan when you did that. He didn't want you to do that. He wanted you to stay tense and nervous and all wrapped up in your sick little self. Congratulations, you did something right, even if you did it under order of the spiritual captain, which is truth. Someday you will have direct contact with the captain, with the truth. And while you're down at the shop, you're having dinner, or even while you're conversing with someone, all of a sudden, because you're listening and receptive to the captain's invitation to relax and start life over right now, you'll be able to do it from yourself without being told. Wouldn't that be a nice way to live? You like that idea? Just now, you see, in your intense preoccupation with your own false aims, your own hounding desires, just now, you have no need, you think, to submit to the truth when it says, why don't you just relax and give yourself the little shock of relaxing and break emotion, break a daydream, break thought. I give you an exercise right now. Write it down somewhere. When you walk, regardless of whether you're a fast walker or a slow walker, whatever, while you're walking, you will suddenly cut it 50%. You'll walk twice as slow, or is that 100%, whatever it is. You'll suddenly walk twice as slow as you did before for a while. Even around the house, you can do it right there at home, right? You know what that'll do, don't you? That'll make you aware that you were rushing around that house like a madman, madwoman all day long, worried that you won't have the table set before the guests arrive, so that you're worried that you won't have the table set. You know, knives and forks. Emily Post says the knife should be somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'm not sure I care a lot as long as it's in sight, right? Now I know where your minds are. You live in dreamland of anticipated approvals and pleasures and compliments. And you figure if you have the table set all properly, the napkin there, that when the guest walks into your home, they will walk in and they will see the table set. See, you're very cunning. They'll see the table set, and the guest he won't say it out loud necessarily, but you know it'll register. They come in the door, and there's a dining room there, and the table's all nicely set with pretty little flowers or whatever. And you know that guest is going to say, "Oh, how nice. They were expecting me. They were expecting me. They were so thoughtful of me that they had the table all set." Maybe even nameplates there, little name there. So you could go over to your, my own personal little world. Now your tricky little mind is saying, they'll like me if I do that. If I make them feel good, that will make me feel good. See how desperate you are? Don't set the table. Don't even invite them over. Haven't you ever experienced the pure joy of dining alone? All by yourself, your mind to yourself, your thoughts to yourself, without that old blabbermouth over there trying to steal. How many of you know old blabbermouths? Young blabbermouths, middle-aged blabbermouths. How many of you are blabbermouths? You feel, whether you are conscious of the feeling or not, that the world is against you. Now, you should know right now, once and for all, that the world is against the neurotic you, the insane you, the sicky you, and no one else. That is all the world is against. So if you could get rid of your paranoid personality, you would find that the attacking world also disappears. As long as you are you will be attacked. You'll waste your life setting the table for other people in vain, because you, having given the party on Friday night and having got the thrill, now have to do it Saturday night and Sunday. Aren't you sick and tired of setting the table for other people? You think you're doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. And by the way, you really resent that $30 that it costs you for even a minimum setting the table. You resent it. When you check out at that supermarket down there and you see that $30 bill for it, and that's only the first trip, you forgot that Aunt Agatha likes stewed prunes. Now you have to go back and get them. And prunes are up too. Everything is up. You don't even see that you resent what you do for other people in order to get a certain ego benefit for yourself. There is a way, there is a plan, there is a spiritual system by which you can no longer feel that the world is against you, other people are against you, circumstances are against you. You can abolish that entirely, and instead of having the neurotic feeling that all is against you, you will know that all is for you. This all is with a capital A. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. This requires your personal work and yours and yours and yours. Think of the term and write it down. Pass through. Pass through. You have to pass through continually certain experiences, learning experiences, so that you start at a certain lower level a level of ignorance, and eventually arrive at a higher level, the level of insight, of personal understanding that you didn't have before you passed through whatever you had to pass through. And this is where, by the way, is where suffering comes in as a value. All suffering, sadness, sorrow, all that is valuable raw material for you to use to pass through in the right way. The wrong way to pass through an unhappy experience is to pass through it desperately trying to get ego rewards from it, like hating the person who deserted you, like being angry because someone else got the raise and you didn't. Then you become more ignorant at the end of that experience than you were before. And not only that, but having passed through the experience only on the level of time, all you got, the only thing you got were time experiences, which further hardened your time nature, therefore made it far more difficult each time for you to pass from an ignorant experience to a learning one in which you were a little bit more new each time. You had better start at 12 minutes after 9, which is the time right now, on this Saturday morning, right now. Don't do over what you always do over here in this room. Now is the time. Now is the time for you to say, I'm going to take what I'm hearing in a different way. And if I feel a pain, if I reject it, if I push it away, then I'm going to find out why I push it away. I'm going to find out who inside of me is pushing it away. And now you'll find the source of your hardness. You'll find out why, horribly why, you have clung to likewise thoughts within yourself and similar thoughts in other people. You do indeed cling to other people and to thoughts within yourself that are like your past sick experiences. And I want you to see that you are going to have to do something different with yourself in order to get a different result, a higher result. Passing through will finally, if you pass through consciously, not asleep, so that you just hate, so that you like to hurt people, so that you like to sneer and be sarcastic. If you ever see an individual who sneers, I don't care what he sneers at, if you ever see a man or a woman who sneers, I order you, absolutely order you as a spiritual instruction to put that individual out of your life now and forever. If you see a human being who sneers, cut him out now. So that you will cut out at the same time you cut that physical human being out of your life, you will have a spiritual, true, healthy operation of cutting out your love for sneering in yourself. Because you don't hang out with him unless you're like him. You hang out with people who are like you. If you were sick, you hang out with other sick people. And you love that sickness, not you don't love him, you hate him, and you'll turn on him sooner or later. It's a question of time. But you hang on to him or her because you love the sickness in yourself. He approves of me, therefore I'm right. Approves of you, he is trying to murder you. Ever had that experience? And by accidental force, you got away from it. You divorced him or whatever, or her. Okay. Pass through. Here's the illustration for it. Here's a man who lived in an unpleasant place. And he heard of a pleasant place. Now, how do you get from here to there besides making the journey from here to there? You have to go through it. You have to pass through it. He knew this. He had to walk. He had to take a journey. He didn't want to. He was reluctant to start because all his sicko friends were back there. And they told him, they embraced him and told him how nice he was, that he was in the right place. Having suspected his own sickness, his own wrongness, he determined to make the journey to the healthy land, many, many miles beyond. So he started the journey. And all the way through the journey, I know that you will nod your head to this, he was tempted to turn back, right? Oh, the yearning for the old places and the old faces are so strong. Because I'll tell you why they're so strong, because they're no challenge to you. You can think the same thoughts with that sickie without being challenged. You can get the false thrills, the self-excitement, just of someone wanting your company. You listen carefully, all of you. If you associate with a human criminal, he, she will get you into trouble. He or she will get you into trouble with spiritual law. And if you get sent away to the spiritual penitentiary, which is the same as hell, if you get sent away by the supreme judge, by God, if you get sent away for a life sentence, there's no parole.